creativity of how you can get quality imaging. When it comes to kids, obviously, you know, adults aren't by the book, but kids are really not by the book. And you've got to get really creative when it comes to getting an optimal x-ray on a child. You have to make up positions a lot of times to get that image. That's what I loved about it, because you have to really think outside that box, get out of your comfort zone, and think critically to get that awesome, beautiful image so the doctor doesn't cuss you out and call you back into the office, as has happened many times before. But it is a rewarding career as well, but also can be a very emotionally draining career. We're gonna go into a lot of that stuff. We're gonna talk about some uncomfortable stuff in this class. If that becomes too uncomfortable for you, let me know. We are gonna talk about some dark material in regards to pediatrics, because as much as there's good times with it, there's a lot of sad times with it as well, but it is a large part of what you'll be doing in pediatrics. We're talking a lot about child abuse in this course, which is a large part of pediatrics. But I'll preface that before we get to it to prepare you accordingly. Okay, so Texas Children's Hospital, that's where I used to work, obviously, for 10 years. Fantastic place to work. I saw 2 of your hands go up. If you're looking for that career in pediatrics, come talk to me next semester. I can start the process of getting you acclimated to the leadership over there and get you a wonderful job over there as well. Really great place to work, very fun place to work, very gigantic place to work. Has anyone ever been there? Bunch of kids there?
TCH?
Is it a good thing?
Is it a huge campus? It is humongous. 5 giant buildings, 20 floors, multiple, 20 floors with each building. Very easy to get lost, but one thing that's very cool about getting lost there is it's actually intentional. Does anybody know it's intentional that it's a maze there?
Yeah.
Does anybody know why it's intentionally a maze there?
Kidnappers out.
Because of kidnappers, exactly right. So someone doesn't run off with a kid. That does happen. You'll have parents that aren't together. Another parent will show up and try to take off with the kid. We've had many instances of that happen where they lock the whole place down. The hospital is designed like a maze so that someone will easily get lost. No one can access stairwells. Only employees can access stairwells. The whole place, with the touch of a button, just goes on lockdown if the kid's ever gone missing or kidnapped. It's a very high security controlled environment for obvious reasons. Yes?
When you say 5 buildings, like
We have, this is the Wallace Tower. This is the Feigen building here. This is Abercrombie. Behind that is West Tower. Then we have the Women's Pavilion down here as well.
that's where Edward was born.
Yes, the Women's Pavilion, that's where Ariel was born as well.
Are they all connected, or you have to like?
They're,
you have to leave that.
They have sky bridges.
Oh,
between
okay.
them,
Bridge.
yeah.
Connects.
Also, if you ever watch on TLC, The Little Doctor, that's where she works as well.
I met her. Does
Yeah,
she still work there?
She does. She does pop in time to time, yes. I was there when they were filming an episode one time in the NICU. Yeah, yeah. I was like, pretty cool.
I'll be back to X-rays, baby.
Yeah. This is Mark Wallace. He's the current CEO. He's actually about to retire, from what I hear. And this is Bob Iger, the president of Disney Company. They did an agreement right about the time I left to do a partnership with Disney so they can use their characters at the hospital. So they show up with the actual like Disney World costume characters every once in a while to help entertain the kids. It's a very cool place to work. Of course, my daughter was born there. This is Ariel. And
Look at this out of you.
yes, she had been through a rough time, as y'all know.
She looks good.
That was a day after she came out of being like completely sedated and half
Looks
dead.
good.
Yeah, she's a trooper. She's a trooper. And this is my old work crew. There's me at a much younger state when I had so many responsibilities a few years ago. And this is my last day. TCH right here.
Look at
Last
you
day.
with scrubs.
How many X-rays?
I did used to wear scrubs. See, I actually was a technologist at one point. Y'all didn't believe me, huh?
Do they have what do you call it, uniforms? Or you can wear like whatever structure.
You can wear whatever color you want there.
I think once you're actual tech,
You
it's
can-
like specified. You can wear whatever.
They don't care what color you wear. You wear t-shirts with your scrubs there. They actually encourage you to wear t-shirts because the kids like them. It's a little less intimidating when you're not in scrubs. In fact, they wear our school shirts there all the time too. So maybe represent Harris Health over there.
How many techs do they say?
How many techs they have?
Yeah, you do.
At main campus, they got about 70 techs. When they're full of staff. Right now they don't because they're really hurting for employees, but they
So can
can.
you choose or like, oh, I want to work in this building or the other building, or they just tell you?
Well, it depends on what you apply for. Each building has job codes and
Oh,
things
okay.
related, so
Is the starting pay good or?
it is now. They upped it recently. I'm so jealous. Where's my back pay?
Oh,
Man, they be paying good over there.
What's
How
the
much
range?
starts?
How much if you don't mind me?
They, from what I was told by my sources, their starting techs are ranging, depending on the shift and the area you work, 27 to 30 an hour. Starting pay, which is better than the $18 I started at. So, good time.
$18.
Down by the river.
Yeah, I started at $18 an hour. Yes.
18 flat or like 18 and some change? What's the name?
18 and some change. And I also got shift differential, it helps a little bit too. Okay, so let's talk about pediatric imaging, guys. A lot of this is going to sound like common sense, and a lot of it is. But very important info to know if you ever work with kids. And also, the registry does like to ask you pediatric scenarios. So going over this information, you'll know how to respond to those scenarios. And to tell you about the registry and pediatrics, they're going to ask you scenario-based questions. Hello.
Oh, that's dangerous, sir.
I avoided the pupils.
That's a laser.
They're going to ask you scenario-based questions of how you would respond accordingly to a child, and namely, God, y'all being really distracted. Namely, how to communicate with children properly. Now, I know some of you have children. Some of you already know how to work with kids. Some of you do not. But there are some tips and tricks that we'll share with you as we go through this PowerPoint, how you can be more successful working with kids, because even if you don't go to pediatrics, you will work with kids at some point, even here at Harris Health, as some of you already have done. So our responsibility in pediatrics is to actively listen. What's active listening, by the way? Something a lot of us here struggle with.
Listening with focus.
Listening with focus, right? Not just like in one ear, out the other, as we do with most of our adult patients, right? Where we just kind of tune people out. Kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. I'll say it again. Kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. They are very intelligent, and they can tell. They can tell when you're not paying attention to them. They can tell when you're just shrugging them off. They can read your facial expressions very, very easily. You know, I always talk about the poker face, which my poker face doesn't work very much anymore because I've been out of pediatrics for a while. But they will read your expression from the moment you walk in. From the moment you walk in with a child, you've either connected with them automatically or you've lost them and they're going to be a nightmare for that exam. And it's all based on how you enter with your facial expression and how you look at them. We'll talk more about that as we move on.
What's your poker face?
What's my poker face? I can't do it for you. Tell me to. You got me nervous now. My thinking face where you always think I'm kind of upset. Like,
Is it when you're taking?
That's not a good one, though.
well, that's okay. Our it used to be a
Those
little
poor kids.
friendlier. When I'm super focused, it looks mean. But
Yeah, it does.
I used to just be able to have like a blank face, like just neutral
Yeah,
face.
poker face is nice in poker only, so.
Yes.
Because we're
So,
humans.
communication, and one key about pediatrics, guys, not only do you have to understand the child, but you have to understand them parents. Hello. Them parents are going to be either your best friend or your arch enemy with X-ray. And we'll talk more about that as well. You know the term helicopter parents, yes? Oh boy, we're going to talk about that. Okay. As a pediatric tech, you will gain multitasking skills of engaging and reassuring your patients, gaining the parents' trust, which is a lot more challenging than it sounds like, utilizing immobilization techniques, which I'm going to tell you right now, stay away from pigostats. They're awful. They're torture devices. There's a much better way to do that. And our active communication as well. Okay, so it's essential to success with pediatrics. Understand that the children are not small adults, so everything you have as far as communicating with adults, you have to edit that when it comes to children. We have to use a different tone of voice. We have to look them in the eye. We have to get down at their level. Now, what am I talking about? I'm a tall guy, I'm 6 feet. If I walk up to a 2-year-old and they're staring up at me like this,
Commit to
and they're
zero.
already scared and hurt, I'm like, hello, little boy, I'm here to be your rescue tech. That's kind of, I mean, that sounds funny, but that's intimidating. Very intimidating to a child. So what do you do? One of the key aspects of connecting with a child from the moment you walk into a room is to get down like this and communicate with them eye to eye and use a softer tone. As soon as you do that, they're going to open up a little bit more. Now, they might still be screaming in pain because they're hurting, but getting down to their level is one of those master techniques to connecting with a child. All my parents out there, some of y'all can confirm that as well. When you get down to your child's level, without making them feel like they're stupid, by the way, because we're not going to treat them like they're stupid, like some people like to do. you've connected with that child, they're gonna be willing to help you out and take their pictures, because we don't take x-rays with pediatrics, we take pictures. They don't want to know what I mean, hear the word X, it sounds scary. X-ray, that's medical related. Any of those medical terms, it's scary to a child. It's scary to some adults too. But we're taking pictures because every child, especially now, has devices. They like to take selfies, they like to take pictures. So we're gonna take some selfies and pictures and check out how that arm is feeling, how those lungs are looking, how that scratch on your hand is looking. We're never gonna say that broken bone. We're never gonna say that horrible injury. We'll say, oh, let's check out that little bobo there. You heard the word bobo? Check out that little bobo. Check out that little scratch. Even if like they're bleeding profusely, oh, look at that little scratch. We're gonna check that all out today. We're not gonna let them know it's bad, because a child, and parents, you can confirm this, a child will react accordingly to how you react to an injury. And I had to learn this the hard way. If my kid falls down, if Ariel falls down and, well, she's older now, I'll say if Lily falls down and scratches her knee on the cement, and I go, oh my God, Lily, are you okay? She's gonna be freaking out and, but parents, can you confirm if you calmly check on them? Oh, Lily, you okay? You okay? And I'm not reacting to it. What do kids do when they fall? Where do they look first? They look at you to see how you're gonna react first. So when you walk into an X-ray room and they're hurt, they're gonna be looking to you first to see how you react to it. And if you're like, oh my God, like you're freaking out, or you start to tear up and stuff, well, you've lost control of the whole situation. And I've seen techs get into pediatrics that have no business being in it because they sit there crying every time they walk into a room with a kid that's hurt. Bad idea. They won't react accordingly to you. That's why I said it's the power of the poker face. It's just a little scratch, it's just a little bobo, it's just a little bruise. It's okay, we're gonna take some pictures. And you control the situation, don't let the child control the situation. Because once they control it, that's when you gotta have a whole team come in and hold them down, and you're gonna have a bad time, really bad time. So, communication and mobilization. Obviously, guys, our attitude and approach is gonna be key, just like we were talking about. Technical prep in the room, having those immobilization techniques. Your book will talk a lot about the Pigostat. I do not recommend the Pigostat. I will show you towards the end, I'll see if I can borrow some of my kids' little baby dolls and bring them up here. Proper ways of how you can immobilize a child yourself with the parents' help and master that imaging without traumatizing the child at the same time. Yes?
And you mean for like a lateral chest, right? Or
AP chest, lateral chest, arms, legs, everything. There's little techniques to doing that without utilizing what the book tries to tell you to do, which I don't agree with the book methods. I think they're a little subpar.
Don't we go in the axilla region just like that? Or, I mean, by the parents, like they go in, hold them up for the x-ray? No?
Nope, there's a better way to do it. I'm gonna show y'all.
Okay.
I'm gonna show y'all. Stay tuned. Okay, so the rooms, guys, we of course want a warm, inviting environment. X-ray rooms are not the most inviting areas. They can be sterile, they can be cold, hard table, ugly painting. We hope that our rooms look inviting, and most times if you're at a pediatric facility, it's gonna be colorful, there's gonna be paintings on the walls, there's gonna be toys available, things to, yes, distract the kids. And I hate to use the word distract. More so, I like to use the word we're gonna connect with the kids better. Distract's a negative word. But we want to get their mind off of them being in a hospital, because once again, when we're in a hospital environment, we automatically default to something very negative, something very scary. So gender neutral toys and activities, books, magazines, and one thing I always like to say, there is power in the sticker. Power in the sticker. You have a sticker, man, that kid's gonna do cartwheels for that sticker. They don't care if that bone's sticking out of their arm, they're gonna do cartwheels to get that sticker. There is power in the sticker. Have some stickers in your pocket at all times, it helps you out. Do not have candy. I get asked this every year, can I just bring some lollipops? Why is that a bad idea?
You might be diabetic.
Allergies, diabetes, or some parents just don't want their kids having sugar. We can't give them food. We cannot give them food, period. That's a big no-no. So I've known people still make that mistake. I've seen people still do that. That can actually get you in very big trouble if you offer a patient food or candy. So stickers are okay though. Okay, so research has shown atmosphere of patient care affects recovery rate. That is very, very true. Honestly, I wish they'd make everything a little more pleasing in the hospitals and not so drab and depressing. But in pediatrics, you're going to see beautiful environments like this. This is actually the front lobby at the Wallace Tower, or sorry, the Legacy Tower right here. Very cool looking. This is one of their CT rooms, CT suites. Looks like you're under the water. They have projection screens that go up on the ceiling. They can play movies, all kinds of really neat stuff to create that inviting atmosphere for the kids, help them feel more comfortable, and of course be more cooperative for that exam. So waiting rooms, imaging rooms, everything's gonna have that appeal for those age groups to calm them down and reduce that anxiety. Because guys, kids do get anxiety. Kids do, a lot of people are deniers of that. Kids get anxiety. Kids get mental health issues as well. We want to make things as easy as possible for them, as comfortable as possible for them, especially those that have been traumatized and going through a really rough time. Okay, lengthy examinations, they'll pass quicker when we have age-appropriate music or videos playing. Every one of your facilities will have tablets, video games, videos, all kinds of things that you can provide the kid to calm them down. Now, of course, you're doing a hand x-ray, they can't be playing Nintendo, but as appropriate, especially like for some of those fluoros, we can provide those services to those kids to help them be more comfortable in the room and be more cooperative. Prepare your room before the child enters. Obviously, we should do that with all our patients already, but really important whenever you have a child coming in, especially if the child's going nuts, you have everything ready to go, your cassettes, everything clean, your sheet on the table, your warm blankets, your pillows. Patient care is going to be key to getting that child to cooperate with you. We work in the dark a lot. We love the dark. Kids do not like the dark. Some adults still don't like the dark. You don't have to raise your hand if you're still scared of the dark. But some of us do not like the dark. And we want to bring those lights up in the x-ray rooms. Make it bright, make it cheery. Don't make it scary and intimidating. They're already scared to death because they're in the hospital. Very, very specifically give them an explanation of what you're doing. Let them know why you're doing it. Give them reassurance if you must deal in the room. You've got to talk with these kids. If you're like a really silent technologist, and I struggled with that because I'm a very introverted person, but I learned how to get out of my comfort zone with kids. You have to learn to talk. It's very intimidating to kids if you're just dead silent. They're not going to like that. I'll tell you right now. You got to learn how to entertain a little bit and connect with them. Okay, so best practices for, bless you, pediatric imaging. It was going to be safety, of course, proper communication, respect for the patient, parent rights and dignity. Guys, parents have the right to be in that room. And I'll tell you right now, we'll talk about this more later. I wish all the parents could get out of the room because they get in the way most of the time. But they have the right to be in the room with that child. They have the right to be involved in that care of the patient as well. So you have to learn to respect and balance and react accordingly to, especially if you know that parent is an abuser. We'll talk more about that later. Provision of adequate care and services to the patient and family as well. Okay, there's a big one, guys. That's a registry question right there. Should be common sense, but you would not believe how many people make this mistake. And I've seen techs do this, and for the life of me, I'll never understand. I'm just going to say it's just stupid, very stupid. Never leave your child unattended. Why? Should be common sense, right? Why would we never leave a child unattended in the
They
room?
could get hurt.
They can fall down, they
Get
can
smashed.
mess up the equipment, they can hurt themselves further. I have seen technologists put a baby on the x-ray table by themselves and walk out of the room. Yes, obviously I don't have to explain why that's a very dumb decision. Had something happen to that child, and thankfully it didn't, they'd have lost their license probably permanently for that. That's a big deal. Never leave them unattended, period. If you have to walk away for any reason, you need to make sure a parent's in there, a nurse, another technologist, somebody. Keep items that can be swallowed out of reach, should be obvious. What's a big item that you think a child's gonna go for? Thank you, John. Your markers. Do not leave your markers next to a kid, because if you've ever had a toddler, they see something on the ground, where does it go? Boom, in their mouth.
I was just on learning. I will spend like 4 hours cleaning. I'll be like, wow, there's like nothing you could get, and
They'll find it. They will find
tiniest
it.
thing.
They will find it. And obviously they swallow your marker. Whose fault is it? It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault, not
It's a
theirs.
natural selection,
We're gonna
baby.
have a big R.
The child is always right, Reagan.
Right, like the,
The child is
marker that
always
they
right.
swallow.
Development use of standardized pediatric protocols. We'll talk more about the protocols towards the end. We're not going to go into full detail of all the positioning because that's a whole other class in itself. But we'll do a generalized overview of some of the positions you may see more commonly. Okay, you're gonna see me say this a lot. Repetition's good. Introduce yourself while making eye contact. That's key. Get down to their level. Speak to them using language appropriate. But at the same time, don't treat them like a baby. You have a 10-year-old, don't be, how's my little boy doing today? You ready for some x-rays? 10-year-olds will look at you like you lost your mind. Don't talk to, I mean, you would talk more like that to a toddler or a smaller child. You have to gauge that communication by the age. That's something you'll learn to do. Can be difficult sometimes because children mature differently. One 10-year-old's not the same as the next. One 10-year-old might still be very childish, another 10-year-old might be very mature. You'll learn to gauge that when you walk in the room and know the appropriate type of language to use towards them. At the same time, we don't want to be talking about costophrenic angles and epicondyles and kind of position your humerus. Like they're going to say, oh my God, I have humerus? What kind of condition is humerus? They don't know what you're talking about. It's an arm, it's a finger, it's a toe, it's a bobo, it's a scratch. Use those kid-related words, connect with them, use their type of language. Explain the exam, use a team approach. You should never be doing pediatrics by yourself. Why?
So that you have what do you call it? Somebody
Alibi?
to witness you.
Thank you, very good, Shaheen. We always want a witness in pediatrics, period. Parents are nuts. I'm a parent myself, I get nuts too. Parents are nuts and they will blame you at the drop of the hat if anything happens to their kid or their kid even gets slightly upset with you. They're gonna try to sue the hospital, they're gonna try to sue you, they're gonna try to say, oh, you touched my child inappropriately, oh, you gave my kid the stink eye, oh, you said something wrong in front of my child, I want you to lose your job. Thus, you always need a witness to corroborate what's going on and document accordingly what actually happened. Thankfully, that doesn't happen too often, but you get some crazy people out there. You got some crazy moms, crazy dads. You'd be surprised what they'll accuse you of. But you always want a team approach at all times, or at least, have another, like a nurse nearby or a doctor, somebody that's there with you during what's going on. You don't want to go into a patient room by yourself, do a portable x-ray, and then they say you walked in there and touched the child inappropriately. It happens. You always need that witness, that team approach. Take history as required, discuss pertinent medical info on a level the family can understand. They're gonna ask you a lot of questions. Abide those HIPAA laws. I would say more so than you'll ever see with adults. Mama bear and Papa bear, they wanna come around that corner and see an x-ray. They'll be sticking their head around that corner. You gotta firmly stop them. See, I cannot let you see that x-ray. I can lose my job if you do that. Just go back to when you go back to your room, the doctor will share it with you. That usually calms them down the fastest. The doctor is going to share the images with you in your room. If they try to come around that corner quick and take a look at those x-rays, they try to ask you, is there anything broken? And they're going to be looking at your facial expressions. They're going to be looking at you, trying to read you. Poker face. You don't know, even though you do read the x-rays, you don't read the x-rays. The doctor does. They'll give them a report very, very soon. Yes?
So you said it a couple times. If they come around the corner and try to see the x-rays, where to stop them?
Mm-hmm.
And if they push past us?
I've never had someone push past me, but if they did, I would still firmly make them get out of there or call
So,
security.
Okay.
Or you get them
That's what,
unaware.
I mean,
Um,
I've known people to
I mean, there's power in just putting your
quickly-
foot down using a firm tone. I haven't seen anyone challenge that, at least not to me. But
People
if
get
they
gangster
did-
these days.
Huh?
People are pretty gangster these days.
I mean, I know. I
Like,
know. Just-
all I'm saying is,
I mean, I've had to say, I said, Dad, you're not coming back here. You need to step back and go back to your room. You're not coming back here. The doctor will share that with you in a few minutes.
and if he's an abusive type of guy, I don't imagine that he would.
Well, here's the thing about the abusive ones. They know they're in hot water. They're usually not going to push that far unless they're just really stupid. There's some stupid ones.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
They already know they're
Then you gotta get them on
being
naked
watched.
shit.
just hey, if you see me on the news, man, if you see me on the news.
Okay, so
Just know.
my very serious folks out there, I used to struggle with this as well. I had the RBF a lot, sometimes I still do, according to some of you, especially that one that's sleeping in the
Resting
corner
boss
there.
face.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Learn how to smile. Learn how to smile. That's just a natural way to put people at ease. Not the creepy smile, by the way. Nice smile. Don't use the creepy smile around someone's kid. Hey, little boy.
What's no?
Can I get a tag? Can I get an extra tag
Can we
in
get
here?
somebody else in here?
Can we get you to look directly at the camera and say
you
that?
gotta be careful. You gotta be
Johnny was
careful.
there.
Do it just like that guy from Family Guy.
Oh, the
Hi,
yeah.
Curtis.
That's disturbing. Be careful. Be careful with that. Once again, talk to them at their eye level. Introduce yourself. Use your first name. I'm not Mr. Donahue. I'm John. Kids don't want to. I mean, if you use your first name, they're gonna be more comfortable. A little bit more comfortable in the environment. You're not gonna say I'm Miss Perek or I'm Mr. Shaji. I mean, no, that sounds formal. I'm Johns. I'm Shaheen. I'm John. I'm
You're gonna be
Monsi.
like, with an S?
Hey, that's a way to connect.
You're plural?
And you know, Johns can have
There's
fun.
one.
John's can be like, my name's John, except it's John's plural. You know, John's plural.
Happens in my-
Have some fun with it. Have some fun with it.
Oh, I killed it.
Tell them what you're going to do. Everything you're doing, you need to explain as you're doing it. Have the child help you out. Kids love to help. They love to be helpers. If you involve them in that exam, you're going to be my helper today. We're not asking them, by the way. Why is asking a bad idea? Can you get on the table? Can you stand up there?
I need you
Is it a
to.
choice that it doesn't-
Well, I'm not even going to use the I need. We're just going to say, hey, buddy, you're going to come over here and be my helper today. Come on, I want you to come help me take some pictures. Just like that. You're directing them. You're going to be my helper. You're not even giving them a choice. And kids know what help means. Most of them do. As they should. Except my little Lily, she doesn't apparently know what help means right now. But most kids know how to help and they want to help. Get them active, get them participating in that exam. It's going to make it a lot smoother. Even if they're in a lot of pain, kids want to show how tough they are. And I'm telling you right now, kids are better at pain tolerance than adults. Adults are bigger babies than kids, in my experience. Kids, even though they're hurt, they want to be tough. They want to endure it. They want to show that they can get through it. You'd be surprised by that. Yeah.
Would they, and I say they, I mean like the powers that be, let you know in the requisite the children or child's triggers? Like,
Not
let's say-
always, but if it's on record, they will.
Okay.
That's something we're going to talk about, by the way, is triggers and things like that and signs to look for.
Mhm.
There's ways you can pick up on that, actually. We'll talk about it. Obviously, avoid that medical jargon, and once again, common sense. Be mindful not to engage in conversations that are inappropriate in the presence of the patient. This guy I worked with just loved to drop F-bombs in a pediatric facility, and your voice carries in a hospital, if you haven't figured that out yet. Use appropriate language, guys. I know we get stressful, but be mindful the walls have ears, and especially with kids, don't let them hear your potty mouth. Don't be saying, oh my God, did you see that kid's arm? Oh my God, that was messed up. Like, I shouldn't have to be telling you that, but people are stupid. I'm gonna say it again, people are kind of stupid sometimes. Don't be stupid, be smart. Be smart. Kids can hear you. Before beginning the exam, ask if there's any questions or concerns. Let them voice that. Answer it. Be patient. Take your time with them. Don't rush them. Use family teaching sheets with alcohol. I've never seen these before. Some pediatric facilities have these little printouts that you can share with the kids to show them what's happening. We never had those, but it's something that some facilities apparently use. I haven't seen those though. Like little worksheets, these little laminated sheets showing them.
How
It's
much
your first
radiation?
X-ray. This is your first X-ray. Da, 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 da. Here's what the tech's gonna do. And if they have that, it's nice, but I've never seen one of those.
Is it also gonna have like radiation explanations? Like this is the equivalent of staying outside for 30 minutes?
Probably not.
No.
That's too much for kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
for the parents.
We already stated this, and I'm gonna go forward here, guys. If the child's too young to understand, guys, once again, gauge your room first. Don't walk into that room and they got a 1-year-old child. You're like, all right, buddy, you're gonna come over here and take my pictures with me, and like the goo goo gaga 1-year-old doesn't even know how to speak. I mean, that's just awkward. You see a child that's under 2, you're gonna talk to the parents and let them know what's going on, get them involved. Using those layman terms, simple sentences. Now, parents, guys, they're gonna act worse than the kids most of the time when their kid's hurt. Mom, dad, they're gonna be all distraught if their kid's arms broke or if they got pneumonia. They can get in the way. You almost have to treat the parent like a child sometimes and have them get involved in the procedure as well. Tell them how they can help make things better for the kid. I mean, you can help me today by holding your kid's legs down. You can help me today by holding their arms. You can help me by making sure they don't move around. Things like that. Simple instructions. Obviously, don't overcomplicate it. Keep using those simple terms, simple sentences. Let's see. We've already talked about that. Okay, so if you got an agitated parent, guys, obviously fear causes a lot of agitation. If you're a parent, your kid gets hurt really bad, really sick, we obviously get very stressed out. It's up to you to remain calm, speak in a soothing voice. Don't get mad right back at the parent, because someone will get up in your face and want to be saying some rude stuff to you. No matter what they say, you gotta maintain professionalism. Don't get back in their face and tell them what for. Obviously, that should be common sense. Listen to their concern without interruption. You have to pack a lot of patience, guys, with pediatrics, not only for the kids, but for the parents. So these parents will give you a whole life history on their child. It's gonna be like a whole book's worth of information. You just gotta sit there, smile and nod. Smile and nod. And let me tell you a little secret technique with working with parents. They like to see this. It's a bit deceptive, but just pretend you're writing everything down as they're talking. You making notes, you can just be making scribbles. If it looks like you're taking notes, it psychologically makes them feel more at ease. Works like a charm. A little deceptive, but it works like a charm. Provide explanation and comfort. Just tell them how you're going to help them today, help your child feel better by getting those all important pictures. Parent overcrowding. So yeah, if you've never seen a helicopter parent, that's the ones that are literally hovering over their child constantly, almost smothering them. There are some cases where you can ask the parent to leave the room. You have to be very tactful with that. I'll give you an example here in a second of how I've done it, but some parents are so in the way and so overcrowding with their child that they're literally messing up the whole procedure. They're so on top of the kid and can't even position the child. Or they're sitting there crying, freaking out, losing their minds over their child being hurt. Preferably, if it was me, I would love it if no parents would be in the room and it would just be text, because we'd get done a lot faster. But ultimately, the thing to remember is the parent has the right to stay in that room at all times. You cannot forcibly ask a parent to leave the room unless it's some kind of security concern. You have to call security and get them involved. What you can do is very tactfully say, when you have the child up on the table, all right, mom and dad, I'm just gonna let y'all wait outside the room. We're gonna take this really quick picture and we'll get them right back to you. Y'all see what I did there? Anybody knows how I did that? I didn't say, would you mind waiting outside the room, or I'm gonna need you to wait outside the room. I said, mom and dad, y'all gonna wait right over here in the chair. My colleague and I are gonna get this really quick picture, 5 minutes, and we'll get them right back to you. Simple as that. It does not always work, but that's one way you can get the parents out of the room and be a little bit of a smoother time for you. But in general, they have the right to remain in there. You just have to learn how to work around it. Can be very tough. So some advantages with parents can obviously be they can watch the child if tech is need to walk out of the room, if you're going to get the equipment, contrast ready. Radiographer, if you have to, we obviously don't want to leave the child by themselves. Parents can actually be a great aid in helping keeping the kids still. Parents also know their kids very well. They can be a great distraction for the kids if you ask them to talk about something their kid really enjoys. If you're having trouble connecting with the child, maybe they have a tablet for the kid, maybe they have a toy. They can be that distraction element to keep the kid nice and still for you. Also, parents who witness the procedure cannot doubt professional conduct, but ultimately, we're never going to leave them by themselves. Never going to leave that child by themselves. Shaheen, were you about to ask a question?
So I just did this, that the children will be more comfortable with the parents. Why would we want to leave the parents out?
Sometimes.
So then you just went and did
That's
the
where you got to gauge the situation as well. Because some kids have separation anxiety. You remove the parent, they're going to completely go haywire.
Right.
But once again, you have to gauge your audience and see your situation and adjust accordingly. Okay, so obviously, guys, always provide radiation protection, especially for the kids. You're gonna have some parents that freak out about their kid not having shielding. I had a parent one time, I think I told you all this story, who wanted her child to be shielded on every part of the body except for the chest. Did I tell you that story?
Mhm.
So we had this family come in, and the parents were freaking out about radiation exposure, and they demanded that we shield the entire child's body except for the chest. So we were like, well, we can't do that. So the parents went and got the director, got them involved, and we ended up having to concede, and we had to shield the entire child's body, the arms, the legs, the feet, the face, the neck, everything, but one little square where the chest was, and that's where they did the x-ray. And colonnade down just a little square.
What did y'all put on them, like just random shields?
And the baby must have got scared.
As
or
many
just
shields as we could
everything?
find, yeah.
So,
You know, the face.
Yeah.
Shaheen brings up a good point. If you shielded their face, like, how did you?
I mean, they left a little opening to breathe, but,
Oh
I mean, it looked terrible though. It
Yeah,
looked as
but
bad,
he's
it looked as bad as it
dead
sounds.
also.
Yeah, I'm imagining this patient is laid down. Like, was
All right,
this
let me
an
put this as
AP?
nice as possible. These two parents had some screws loose. They were a bit extremo. Yeah, but they got what they wanted.
Yeah, they'll
Got what they wanted.
eventually.
Okay, so listen to your patient and parents' questions, concerns. Obviously, kids are going to ask you a lot of questions. If you've never had a child, if you have a child, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously, English may be a second language to some. Make sure you bless you.
Thank you.
Employ your translation services as needed. Don't try to do that by yourself, by the way. Make sure you call translation services, have them work with that child. Some of these children that can't speak English don't even have parents around. So you have to make sure you're communicating to them accordingly. Be mindful of cultural preferences and taboos. Make sure you are aware of that. Very, very important. That's the same with adults. Always knock before entering. Don't just go barging into the family's room when little toddler's asleep, their bedtime. Make sure you knock softly. Make sure it's appropriate to come in. A lot of times you have to come back and take x-rays later, and they have the right to refuse that. They do have the right to refuse that. Okay, create your child-friendly environment. We already talked about that. Use appropriately sized equipment. Guys, don't be using 14 by 17s on babies. That just, not only that it looks silly, but you're overexposing the child. Use your 10 by 12s, use your 8 by 10s. That should be common sense. Remember, the parent does know the child best. If you kind of get the sense this is going to be a difficult child, talk to the parent and ask them what's the best way to connect with your child to get this x-ray done. They'll often let you know. They'll tell you, well, he really likes Ninja Turtles, or he really does better when he has his tablet, or whatever. They'll let you know that. Cody?
So on the Adventop, they have like the digital receptor, like, but it's a 14 by 17. So are there those in a smaller size?
There is.
Okay.
Yes, there is, and that's something that TCH has. Yeah. Yeah. Good
Is
question.
it 14 by 14? I guess there is one before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
They have
about that one.
10
I'm
by
just thinking
12s,
about
8
the
by
main
10s.
department,
They
like, you know,
they got all the
every main
small.
department, There's
Yeah,
never
I don't
one that's
see it
smaller
there.
than that.
Yeah.
All the small sizes. Utilize your CLS. You may not be familiar with CLS, but child life specialists are the ones you're going to call if you get a child that's just not cooperating. If your child's just going haywire and nuts, CLS is going to be like your backup team to come in and calm that child down. Don't try to force it. If you've lost a child and you see there's no hope, give them a call. That's their job. They're there 24/7. They'll come in there and hopefully de-escalate the situation.
So in all hospitals, only children hospital. CLS.
I don't know if Harris Health has CLS or not. I've never seen them if they do. I just know at TCH they're all over the place, like a phone call away. Make your table comfortable as well, guys. Should be common sense there. Okay, your distraction techniques, guys. Get comfortable talking about what child's like. Don't be talking about the football game and stuff you like. You gotta talk about what the child likes, even if you hate it. There's a lot of stuff I can't stand. I hate SpongeBob SquarePants, but you better believe that kid likes SpongeBob SquarePants. That's my favorite cartoon in the world. I'm gonna be talking about SpongeBob, I'm gonna be talking about Squidward and Mr. Krabs and all those characters, even though I hate all of them. But that kid loves it, so I'll make sure I do it. Ask about school, ask about sports, siblings, pets. Ooh, that's a good one. Pets, ask if they have any pets. They love talking about their pets. Get familiar with cartoons, shows, music, sports figures, superheroes. Knowledge of their world is going to build rapports. Learn lingo, interests. Don't be too cringy though. You know, learn those slang terms without being too cringy. Like I get cringy with y'all's terms sometimes myself, but use it appropriately with the child. Guys and girls, know your Disney princesses. Works like magic, no pun intended. It really does. Know every one of these princesses' names. Know what movie they're in. I'm telling you, I mean, they love to talk about their favorite Disney princess. They love to talk about their favorite superhero. Make sure you know every one of those superheroes by name and identity. If you don't, make sure you learn it. It works wonderfully. Talk about who's your favorite superhero. Can I tell you about mine? Especially when you're doing things like Flora and you're with them for a while. You have that whole conversation going. You talk about your favorite Disney princess, your favorite superhero, your favorite cartoon show. It really, really does work. It builds that connection with the child, helps them to be more at ease during that very stressful procedure. Okay, let's take a small break, guys. Quick break. Take about 15 minutes. Come back at 2:15, and we will continue on. Since my front row is going to a coma, I need to take a quick little breather.